Look at these beautiful Gorby's chariots ready to rumble. Versus the stumpy lad. Oh, Thork on his throne. We're gonna take care of that real quick here on the ladder. Me with a bunch of marauders. No? Yeah, a bunch of marauders. Chaos Warriors with great weapons. Gorby's chariot. And Azazel because gyros are still a thing. That's why. That's why Azazel. You don't have many great flying options besides manticores, and even then, there's still they're manticores. My opponent going for side objective with miners, which makes sense. We summon in chaos trolls to come deal with them. Zazel is doing exactly what I wanted to do, dealing with gyros. Gyros. They're gonna deal with that schnight. And he's gonna do what he does best. Pavane and kill. Gonna force those boys out of the woods and into the fray. Now here's a little tip for you. If you feel like your unit's about to get pavaned or anything like that, drop them to the ground. That way you can at least avoid or at least defend them too. Sending in the Gorby's chariot. Sending in the Gorby's chariot. Only get hit by a bunch of arrows and run him out of there, realizing, okay, my opponent, he knows how to micro. At least we kept him in his home objective so far, as we pretty much punished all those gyros. We haven't even bothered taking my own home objective. We'll get that eventually, as we just try to slow him down. Make sure we can get into these miners long enough so my forces can go into formation before the dwarves do. And eventually, hopefully, bring in these trolls to come deal with them. That way they don't get hit with bombardments. And then my opponent just keeps bringing in those miners. 2 bolt throwers, which isn't bad. Although the tree line does make it a bit awkward for any large targets. And the woods as well. And those bombs. Ooh. Acquiescence on top of those boys, those gyrocopters. Luckily we got a couple models already out, so the bombardments won't be too heinous. It's gonna suck for sure, but it would have been way worse with them at max. Max model count. Excuse me, sorry. Forsaken now coming in. Zazel still punishing these gyros. Those 3 miners, though, are getting pretty ballsy. And the fact that he sends in 3 of them unsupported. Well, I mean, I guess they're supported by bolt throwers, but bolt throwers' range doesn't reach my objective, so they are unsupported. So I take that back. Gorbies, though, are going to start showing you why they are magical in this setup. It's about time I get to do this to dwarves, because everyone does it to me. They just throw chariots on my face and cav units. It sucks. You gotta at least bring like a unit of slayers or a goblin hero or something to come protect these guys. They just get absolutely mulched by themselves. You can't have dwarves by themselves. They need support. You need lots and lots of support. Good artillery pieces like cannons or something. Bolt throwers, organ guns, the works. Just something to support them. These things are just by themselves, ready to get corrupted. Look at the Forsaken. Now with their extra health. Which honestly was needed, but still kind of feels weak, in my opinion. The problems with WoC at this point are just still no good anti-large options. They should have added marks. More marks, more marks. Shout it with me, folks. More marks. Because 4 just feels like shit. Absolute dog shit. Gorby's chariots, though, don't feel like dog shit right now. We're actually tearing through these lines. Bolt throwers are finally getting their shots in. Not before Azazel starts punishing my opponent for leaving them by themselves. Although he's got miners coming in, all still tattered, but he's still going to throw them in here. He's got his quarrelers, but we got plenty of shields and great weapons. The Gorbies have cleaned up most of these miners. And yeah, as soon as he's seen the Gorbies, I mean, no one really expects Gorbies to do anything because they don't ever show up. If these were like Chaos Chariots, this would have been a different story, but man, I'm loving these Gorbies Chariots. At least it's nice to see them finally do well. I was actually a little, seeing the Forsaken there, I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring them down to the Bolt Throwers, but seeing as how my Forsaken would have been unsupported, just shut down Quarrelers until we can get the Gorbies Chariots online and into them. I mean, they won't win any fights with this many Quarrelers and such, and even Thoric with his Rune of Wrath. Rune of Wrath and Blowy Uppy. And here, speaking of Root of Wrath, here they go. 1,000 HP down the drain. Summoning in the Manticore because the Manticore will do exactly what I need it to do. Shut down artillery pieces, gyros, and the works. And yeah, actually WoC into Dwarves actually feels good, all except for if the gyros were still... If you would have sent in like 4 gyros in the open, I would have been in trouble. Because that would have been so obnoxious. I would have had to summon the Manticore. I would have to do so much work just to get rid of them. And then they would just blow up my ground forces, and then, yeah. It would have been a bad time. Absolutely horrendous time. Especially here on the ladder where anything goes. Man, that would have sucked. Or even just the, what is that? The stupid blimp. I haven't used it or seen it so long, I forget the name of it too. The Thunder Barge, there we go, yeah. A Thunder Barge would have sucked ass too. But I'm more afraid of the gyros. Now that they don't have fire while shooting, they're not as oppressive, you know. You could just fire, walk through units, still get your values worth, and just have them circle around. And it's not like Manticores are... The only thing that I think in my roster can really keep up with them would be Manticores. Or maybe bring a Cockatrice, but Cockatrice still suck ass for their price. They really need to drop 100 points to actually be worth it. Even then, maybe. Because their stats just suck ass and their ability is pretty mediocre. It's a nice little trapping ability for gyros, but that's the only niche application I can think of. And then you have to deal with Iron Drakes, you have to deal with Thunders, Grunge Rakers, just a whole plethora of gunpowder. And the Peak Gate Hammerers over here. And even with the Gore Beast, these guys have so much heavy armor and mass, I can't just run right through them, which is nuts. It's just actually really interesting. Gore Beasts don't even get to pick them up even a bit. Wow. I might have to use these hammers. These guys are actually nuts with how much weight they have. Holy shit. Because you guys saw what happened to the miners. They got flung around like ragdolls. The Peak Hammers barely budged. Gore Beasts are just sitting there stuck at one model. Even with that said, we're still not out of this yet. Dwarves are still a hefty good faction. They'll last long enough. If I don't shut down these hammers, these sky hammers, these artillery pieces, I might be boned. And yeah, look at that. Gore Beast still trying to go through the hammers. They just don't. They just don't have the weight. Wow, that is insane. That is really nuts. It could just be that they're bunched up and boxed up. But still, I don't know. It's really interesting. I might have to bring out those boys. But there's so many better units. And if you haven't noticed by now, my opponent has not brought a single Slayer out. I think he was relying a lot on his gyros and the bolt throwers, thinking that would pretty much do it. No, you need Slayers. You need many, many Slayers. And even then, that's not guaranteeing you a win. Slayers on top of your artillery pieces. Slayers on top in the middle of your firing range units, Quarrelers, Rangers, Thunders, all that goodness. And the only thing I really brought to deal with them would be Forsaken, and I think I bring out Marauder Horsemen later to just throw javelins into them, and that's about it. I guess Chaos Warriors and Marauders would do alright. At least they trade somewhat upwards. The Manticore's just getting shot. Oh, Zazel, don't die. He's got a Thane, which actually should just move down to my home objective, which would have been absolutely a problem. Because I don't have anything besides... Well, I guess Chaos Trolls will actually do pretty good into him. Yeah. The Armored Trolls will actually do alright. And at this point, my opponent is just all over the place. His force is scattered. Yeah, if you're going to play Dwarves, you really need to play coherently. Keep your units in formation. This is a very, I would say, it takes a bit of a learning curve to play Dwarves. It really does. They play so much different than any other faction. Because they don't have chariots, they don't have very fast units, except for the gyros, that's about it. So you really need to stand together to stand tall if you're playing as a dwarf. And if I were the door player, I wouldn't even go for the third objective. I would just run right into my opponent's objective and do it that way. You know they're going to have vanguards, but at least you have artillery pieces to back them up. Because trying to go for the third point is just, I think, too long of a walk in a dead sense. And I can just... And you guys seen what I've been doing to his artillery. If he had a bunch of units piled up right in front of him, it would have been a different case. No problem. And even then, I bring in this piece. The Hell Cannon. Oh, it's so good. Probably the best unit in the Wars of Chaos roster. Honestly, I think the Hell Cannon is really carrying them at this point, because while I was playing the ladder, oh my goodness, if I didn't bring a Hell Cannon, I was pretty much throwing the game. Just being able to hit multiple units. And like I've said this before, WoC is really does play like Dwarves. Except they have all sorts of chariots and monsters and all that goodness. But they really do play similarly to Dwarves in that you want to keep them super coherent. They're not very fast. I mean, they can play fast, but they're weird. It's weird. It's chaos. It looks like we're coming to the end here soon, folks. My opponent, as soon as he loses Thoric, it's going to be pretty much GG. We'll fast forward here. Because he's triple capped, there's really nothing else he can do. He can throw more units on the point. I'm just going to bombard them, run them over with chariots, and call it a day. So yeah, GG's, GG's. Retakes his home objective, and we retake his home objective. And that's going to be all she wrote. Although he does put up a pretty decent fight in the end here, we're still at way too much value, and map control is way in my favor. I would definitely drop the hammers, the sky hammers for... I've tried them. They're good, but they're a bit too expensive, and you're better off just using regular gyros anyways. At least the Steam variant. Hell, I would even bring in the flamethrower variant for the Chaos Trolls if my opponent got so ballsy. That could be interesting. So yeah, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you did, please like, sub, follow me here on YouTube. We're on the road to 2,000. Come join the Discord to either come see me play, show some love, or to come play yourself. Always appreciated. To see some new players to come in. Alright, folks, with all that said, I hope you guys have a good one. Peace, and goodbye for now.